Hey, here are 5, let's call them unsaintly, things I've noticed about the Virgin Mary. Number 1, she's a biblical plot device. As the mother of Jesus, Mary is a revered figure to most Christians, but her most important function in the story of Jesus is to get pregnant and give birth to him. Despite her status as mostly backstory, Krypton to Jesus' Superman, some forms of Christianity, particularly Roman Catholicism and Eastern Christianity, place Mary in a very prominent position in their theologies. I don't really get that, but then again, I don't understand Superman fans who are fascinated by Krypton either. I mean, to me, the 2 most important facts to know about Krypton are 1, Superman left, and 2, it blew up right after that. So, anyway, I digress. Back to Mary. Number 2, she's barely present in the New Testament. All things considered, the amount of biographical information found in the New Testament about Jesus is pretty thin, and he's the guy who all the fuss is about. Small wonder, then, that there are even fewer details present about Mary. 2 of the Gospels don't even depict the birth narrative, where Mary plays her most important role. Mark, the oldest of the Gospels, mentions her only 3 times, and just 1 of those is by name. The Gospel of John mentions her twice, never by name, and the Apostle Paul, who is traditionally credited with writing half the books of the New Testament, never mentions her at all. Number 3, she's not that important to Jesus. There are passages of the Gospels that suggest Jesus didn't really get along with his family. One of the 3 appearances Mary has in the Gospel of Mark depicts her paying Jesus a visit with some relatives of his and being given the brush off. And one of the 2 times she appears in the Gospel of John is at the wedding at Cana, where things between Mary and Jesus seem a little tense, at least as I read it. Mary informs Jesus that they have no wine, and though eventually he performs the famous miracle of turning the water into wine, Jesus' initial response to Mary is to say, "What's that got to do with me?" God damn! This woman gives birth to the Son of God, barely even makes it into the Gospels written about him, and in the few scenes she does get, it's pretty apparent that he has no use for her whatsoever. And to make matters worse, even though Mary would eventually be venerated by the churches supposedly founded on the teachings of her son, number 4, she wasn't that important to early Christians. We know very little about the first generation of Christians, but it seems a safe bet that they didn't much care about Mary. It's not until the 2nd century that stories began to appear about her perpetual virginity, sinlessness, and penchant for talking with angels. And then much later, even more elaborate beliefs began to appear about her, including the belief that she, like Jesus after the resurrection, had been assumed into heaven. But despite the exalted position Mary now enjoys in the beliefs of many Christians, there is just no getting around this last bit. Number 5, she's a symbol of religious sexism. Even in Protestant circles, where she is not nearly so venerated as in Catholicism or the Eastern churches, Mary is held up as an ideal role model for women. And what are the traits of this role model? She's chaste, passive, submissive, obedient. In Mary's own words, in Luke 1:38, she is the handmaiden of the Lord. The Greek word translated as handmaiden in the King James Version, by the way, is doule, which means female slave. For centuries, Christian women who have complained about the inequality and oppression they face in the church have been told to look to Mary as an example, but that is not a solution to the problem. That is the problem. The hardest part is picking only 5. Catch you next time. Hey folks, hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like it and share it and subscribe to this channel if you're not subbed already. And also, please consider helping me to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron. Thanks for watching. See you next time.